Oh yeah, so yes, this video is brought to you by Squarespace. From online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is your one-stop shop to building a beautiful website and running an amazing online presence.
To TGTV, and more specifically, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my E93 there in the distance, and also this car here, which you will have seen on my Instagram very recently. So first things first, I brought my E93 here to Spartan Automotive. Some branding on the wall somewhere over there. I brought it here to Spartan Automotive because today is the day we look at the dreaded rod bearings and sort them out. So first things first, you'll be wondering why this thing has already been seen on my Instagram stories. That is because this has been my courtesy car. This is actually a Club Sport model of the same shape that spawned the E46 M3. So it is not an M3, it is a Club Sport, and arguably the pick of the bunch price-wise. I've never driven one of these before, and I've had it for the past week as a courtesy car whilst this has been in here. So this has actually been done, and we're going to cheat with the technology available to us on YouTube. We're going to go into exactly what's happened to this, and we're going to look at some of the bits of the engine that have been taken out and replaced, and we're going to have a little look, bearing in mind the mileage on this car, what on earth has happened to it. So huge fan of this. This drove amazingly. It's got 156,000 miles, and Tom here, that's his sort of personal car really, but he lent it to me kind of as a courtesy car. So if you come down here, I don't know if you're going to get one of those or whether I just got this because I'm a YouTube idiot, but it's got 156,000 miles on it, and it literally drove like it was brand new. Unbelievable. And I actually get the fuss about these. I finally get it. Anyway, she's here. My E93 is here, and before I start waffling on about my E93, we're going to go inside and we're going to find Tom here at Spartan Automotive. It's my busy bee. I have told him I'm coming, by the way. Here he is. We've actually got an E46 M3 at the moment. So, hello sir.
How you doing? Okay?
How are we doing? Is this your first foray on YouTube? Don't hide behind the pole, I'm coming near you. How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad.
Nice to see you. We do spuds these days. Yeah, all good. So, rod bearings done.
Yes.
They are done. I've explained that it's kind of back to front and that it's already been done. However, we've got a little array down here, and we're going to talk through, first things first, rod bearings on the E92 and E93 generation. If you've got one out there and you're listening, should you get the rod bearings changed if you haven't already? If so, why?
So it's definitely advisable to get them replaced.
Yeah.
On the earlier cars, the pre-LCIs, they actually had a different rod bearing, and BMW did revise them in around 2010.
Okay, so LCI is
facelift car, so yeah, late 2010 onwards.
Okay.
So they've revised the bearings. Apparently the new ones are 4 times harder than the originals.
Okay.
And also it's a good bit of maintenance to get done. So if you're not sure how well the car's been looked after, or it's had lots of previous owners, and sort of things like going long periods of time between service intervals, using the incorrect oil,
not warming it up. That's a big one.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
All of those sorts of things can contribute to common rod bearing wear.
Worst case scenario then. What do rod bearings do? Sorry, they're ignorant questions. I do know some of the answers to these, but I'm just kind of filling in for the audience at home. What do rod bearings do?
So where the common rod connects to the crankshaft, it sits on a bearing, which then sits on a really thin film of oil. So the bearing shouldn't actually come into contact with the crankshaft. So it should wear relatively, minimal amounts.
Yeah.
So if you do, you are getting wear, it's because, possibly the, oil's really old, or there's debris in the oil, or things like that. So it's really important to use the correct grade oil, and also make sure those, that's changed regular intervals.
Tips from the top there. So, and the final question, I promise, and then we'll get on to what's going on here and what's going on in here and what actually you found in my car. If you don't get your rod bearings changed and they go pop, what do the bills look like, and is it a simple job to fix that?
It is not a simple job to fix. So worst case scenario, the bearings will sort of start to close up as they wear.
Yeah.
They will spin round the crankshaft and the journal and essentially lock the engine, causing catastrophic damage and huge repair bills, either replacement engine or full engine rebuilds. Worst case scenario, the crankshaft will be absolutely scrapped. So yeah, big repair bills if they go wrong.
Perfect. So that is why it's a good idea to get them changed. And this isn't an advert, by the way. You're not paying me. Talk us through what we got here then.
So these are the bearings removed from your car.
These are mine.
Yep. So I'm delighted to say you have passed the test. Well done. You have let your car warm up correctly. You have been doing all of the things we spoke about earlier. So these
I look after my stuff. I was actually saying, I bored you with this tale, and I bored my audience with this tale. I did the first 15,000 miles in this car, in my M3.
Excellent.
Before the next lady had it, who probably didn't let it warm up as well. But it was those first kind of 15,000 miles, I think, is kept it alive.
Yeah. So they're looking good condition. If we compare them to the set next to it, which are in really poor condition, you'll see that they're really worn. It's right down to the copper material. And if you look closely at these two bearings, which are really badly worn, you'll notice that they're actually starting to close up. And that's what we were talking about earlier. So this tang here literally keeps the bearing located in the com rod. And as they start to close, that tang will no longer hold it in place, and that's when it will spin around the crankshaft and cause catastrophic damage.
So you mean they actually just sort of close?
Yeah, so as the material wears off this edge, it will get smaller and smaller.
And it's a bit more pokey. It's a bit more of a kind of aggressive half pipe, so to speak.
Yeah, so and as they close, obviously the tolerances will get tighter and tighter.
Yeah.
They get hotter and hotter, and yeah, that's looking at these ones. These are pretty close to failure, so it's really good that this.
Typically, how many miles did this car have on it?
This car had just over 100,000 miles on it.
Okay.
But the mileage isn't really the whole story. Obviously, the higher mileage cars are more susceptible to wear, but like we spoke about earlier, you could have a car with 40,000 miles on that's been really poorly looked after, driven hard from cold, which will all accelerate the wear process. So it's not, the wear isn't linear with mileage. So,
not the be all and end all.
Yeah, and particularly if you've got a car with lots of different owners, that you're not sure, one or two of them might have looked after the car, but you might have got one or two in there that might not have. So
yes, there might have been a scumbag in the mix as well. And that's the other thing as well. You can't tell with these cars. Sometimes you can get a car like an M3 on the market that's really heavily modified, but actually that person's been an enthusiast, so they've done everything ahead of time and they've been really fastidious. And sometimes people buy these cars, they don't modify them, not actually into M-Power or BMW, they don't really care about maintenance, and actually it might look like a kind of a clean, unmodified example, but actually the owner's been a bit of a tit and actually done it really badly. So your best bet, if you are buying one of these used, I would go and get this job done. So typically, how much would this cost? With nothing else going wrong and a typical kind of job, doing the rod bearings, if someone rings up and say, Tom, I want my rod bearings done, I've got an E92, it's pre-LCI or it's LCI, what kind of bill are you looking at? So
on the E92, the prices do vary slightly depending on which model. Obviously you've got some 6-cylinder M cars, some 8-cylinder and some V10s. So on your particular car, the E92 M3, the rod bearing replacement is priced at £1,300.
Okay.
And that includes all BMW genuine gaskets, correct Castrol 1060 oil, and it also includes the correct power steering fluid. And another sort of precaution we take is we measure the clearances of all the journals. So where these sit on the crankshaft, as I mentioned previously, it sits on a very thin film of oil. It doesn't actually touch the crankshaft. And what we do is we measure that clearance to make sure it's within tolerance, just in case there's any sort of manufacturing error for the new bearings. Whether they've been damaged in transit, just to make sure that when we fit the new bearings, there's not going to be any problems. Yeah, because a slight little kind of bend on one of those. It's game over. So that was a nice segue, actually. So actually, when you come and get this job done here, actually, this is one thing I was going to ask it, Steve. It's not just for the E90. You said there's V10s and other sort of 6-cylinder engines. So it's not just the M3 that needs the rod bearings changed. Is it all of the BMW engines? Are they all designed with this? Throughout the production, the E46 are the same. That they suffer with the same problem. Really? And again, the M5s, chaos. The V10 engines. You wouldn't want to rebuild one of them. Yeah, exactly. So it affects the whole M range.
Perfect.
Not just the E92.
Cheers, BMW. Porsche wouldn't do that. Right, okay, fine. So we get onto this then. So if you come and get your rod bearings changed, you get this, and you were talking about the clearances, and this is
So
show I've been listening to you before.
Yeah, in here we record all the data that we take from the job. So you know, up here you've got your car details, which bearings we use. In this particular case, we use the ACL bearings, which we believe is a better bearing than the standard BMW one.
Perfect.
And we went for the OEM BMW Conrod bolts on here. So here we've got all the clearances measured, which you can see are the same across all 8 cylinders.
Lovely.
Which is exactly spot on. And there's actually a specific torque procedure for the BMW bolts. So you actually need to torque the bolts 3 times, a first, second and third torque, and then back it off and do that procedure 3 times on each bolt. So as you can see here, we've got the torque settings, and the final torque is a degree. 130 degrees is the target. So as you can see, we've got a tick to show that we've gone through each of the torque procedures on each bolt 3 times, and then the final degree on each bolt.
Perfect. Lovely stuff. That's belt and braces then, basically, and just to have a record that's the situation.
Yep.
Very good.
We've
I'll put that in the history file.
Pictures as well of the job, you know, at the important stages. So you've got all that in a nice little package for you to take away.
And store with your history folder, put it with your servicing, put it with your MOTs, keep it, because people like paperwork. Even though you probably are never going to look at it again, it's really, really key. If you ever come to sell it, or something goes bang, it's key just to come and look back at that. So very interesting. You probably realised by now why we've done it this way around rather than pointing at the engine bay, because the engine bay in these cars is, well, there's nothing to look at, is there?
Not too much, no.
Was the rest of the car okay?
Very, very good condition, as we sort of expected from you know, car as yours with your sort of mileage.
Yeah.
Very good condition. There was nothing else that you know, was anything untoward. So
perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
And by the magic of the internet, I would have been overlaying shots of that whilst you were talking.
Yeah, exactly.
So all very exciting, captured by your guy here. So perfect. All right. Well, thank you very much. Then I'll take my car.
Awesome.
I'll do a runner. Thank you very much, mate. And I'll leave Spartan Automotive's details below, so you can contact the guys here if you have got any BMW related. I actually want to point at this very quickly. You've got an E46 in here. Is this a bit of a project? What's going on with this?
Yes, this is a bit of a project. These cars are, you know, getting on a bit now, and there's quite a lot of jobs which quite on the large side that need carrying out, and this is one of those cars that needs all of those doing. So we're going to be doing a diff rebuild, and also changing the diff ratio to a 4:1, which will give better acceleration, so that's quite a cool little mod. It's also got a bit of rust which needs taken care of.
Chaos.
Arches, and front wings, and whilst we do the rear wheel arches, we're going to drop the subframe, we're going to do the boot floor reinforcement, fit an internal brace.
So these do rust then through, like, pretty much throughout. It's not just bodywork, it's structural as well.
Yeah, they suffer from cracks in the boot floor.
Nice.
It's a bit of a sort of a design fault.
Well done, BMW. Again.
So spot welds crack and all sorts. So we want to get those addressed.
And if you've got an auto one of these, or you're looking at buying an E46 and think, oh, you know, there's one on the market and I love it, it's the right spec, it's the right blah blah blah, but it's automatic. You guys do manual conversions, correct?
We do, yeah. We do full OEM factory manual conversion. So all the components are all BMW. And we literally, the time we finish, it's like the car has come out of the factory in manual.
Because the SMG, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not too huge a job to actually convert to manual.
It's not a huge job, it's not the most technical job, but there's quite a lot of steps involved, and also quite a lot of steps if you want it to be as though it was a factory car.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people fitting sort of self-centering shifters, and things like that. The way we do it is we remove the gearbox, we remove the bell housing, that goes to a machine shop. We have all the necessary parts fitted to then self-center the gear lever. All the additional wiring is taken care of, so you retain factory features like cruise control, PDC, mirror tilt, all of that sort of thing.
Wow.
And the ECU's all reprogrammed so that the car no longer believes it's an SMG.
Proper job.
Yeah.
So that is an option, and we've been having some interesting discussions about buying something silly and doing a manual conversion on it. Anyway, I will actually leave you a note now. You get another spud and I'll disappear. Cheers. I promise. Thank you so much, mate. I'll see you soon. Cheers, pal. Bye.
Now, as I made you all aware at the beginning of the video, this video was brought to you with the one and only Squarespace. There really isn't am I boring you, mate? There really isn't a better place to build a beautiful website or start that online business you've always wanted to. There's loads of cool features with Squarespace that means setting up a website doesn't have to be painful. It's super simple, and there really isn't a better time to do so. So there's loads of cool features on Squarespace that allow you to do just this. The first of which is a new feature, is allowing you to build a community area on your website. So you can build a community area, a members only area for your subscribers and whatnot to go on. Very, very useful. Another really valuable aspect, Crispies, please, for goodness sakes. No one needs that. Another really valuable thing that Squarespace allows you to build into your website is a monthly payment and subscription model. So if you're running an online store, it allows you to have a monthly subscription model. Really, really good way to add value and build value in your business. Another thing that's really good for e-commerce particularly is Squarespace have the tools to allow you to build effective and efficient email campaigns as well. Absolutely crucial and key goods. And as many of you know, most websites now are viewed on mobile devices. Squarespace again allow you to develop your website both in PC and mobile optimized format, which is really, really useful because about 80% I think websites are now viewed on mobile devices. So rude. Now, as an exclusive offer to take advantage of right now, click the link below and you'll get a free trial of Squarespace, and when you are ready to get going, you'll get 10% off. That's an exclusive offer. The link is below. It'll only work with that link, so make sure you click. Not only is it a fantastic offer and Squarespace is amazing, but you'll also be supporting my channel as well. So make sure you give that a click.